You know, I never understood the love Nords have for mead. Beyond Skyrim it is scarcely common. Though that makes sense, I suppose. You make wine out of the things you have at hand, be that grapes from Cyrodiil or comberries from Morrowind. But the Nords didn't make, say, snowberry wine or apple cider. No, they decided to use honey. Mead. Now, honey is abundant in most parts of Tamriel, yet you pretty much only find mead here in Skyrim. On its most basic level, mead is simply honey, yeast, and water. It doesn't exactly leave too much room for complex flavors. Yet the locals are infatuated with the stuff, and I honestly cannot understand why. Perhaps I just haven't had the right sort yet. Ah, well, I'm glad to know that I do have something interesting to share on occasion. I'll speed things along, shall I? I figure you're intimately familiar with the subject, then. That will certainly come in handy for what I've planned. Then perhaps what I am planning will be an enriching experience for both of us. As I was saying, perhaps I haven't had the right sort of mead yet. And by right sort, I of course mean the best mead on offer. While, yes, from what I've heard, that is quite possibly the best one on offer in Skyrim, it wasn't exactly what I had in mind. No, that would be far below my standards. Well, let's just say it isn't exactly on the market quite yet. Exactly right. I intend to brew the greatest batch of mead to grace anyone's lips. Once that is done, I will be able to judge if mead has a place among all the other brews of Tamriel. After all, if you want something done right, you'll have to do it yourself. Well, this is perhaps the slightly embarrassing part. While simple in theory, I frankly do not have much knowledge on how mead is made. Honey, yeast, water, sure. But what are the proportions? What do you brew them in? For how long? Of course, I could easily figure this out by asking a few questions and doing my own experiments. But frankly, there is a far easier way to go about all of this, and that is to steal from your competitors. And who better to steal from than the Blackbriars? They clearly have a good product if they are able to sell it for such extortionate rates. Oh, don't be so witless. I'm obviously going to the source. My point is, we need to go to the source. Are you unable to see where I'm going with this? The Blackbriars obviously have a recipe of sorts for their different varieties of mead. Where exactly this is located, I cannot say with certainty. And since I don't clearly know what I'm looking for, clairvoyance would be unable to guide me to it. Let's have a poke around the Blackbriar Meadery, or perhaps Blackbriar Manor in Riften. Even if we don't find a recipe, I'm sure there are other valuables to make our own.
Okay, be good.
Hey, don't look at me that way. Who are you to judge me?
This Brynjolf must be quite desperate if he's recruiting strangers for his schemes. It was likely the right call to turn him down. Perhaps it is best we leave this place before we discuss our findings. Let's have a look at these formulas then. Ah, a list of ingredients right at the start. How efficient. The first and primary ingredient is of course honey. The origin of the honeybees seems to be quite an important factor. This is due to flora surrounding the bees leaving their flavour in the honey. Next is a good brewer's yeast. I should be quite comfortably supplied in that department. Some fresh mountain water. Apparently the source matters here too. I'd wager that's to do with the minerals the water has scooped up on its way down the mountain. And finally, juniper berries. That is something we likely have at hand or can easily get hold of. Oh, by no means. This is simply a base for me to better understand how to brew mead. Trust me, I already have some ideas for things I would like to add to it. Well, the primary objective should be to get some quality honey. Let's say I have a little friend that may be of help in this endeavor. I'll send this little friend out to help me find a source of some good honey. Don't worry, she is a rather swift little thing. We'll have a source of honey before we know it. In the meantime, we should go about fetching some mountain water. I was thinking the Reach would be the perfect candidate. I believe juniper berries are quite plentiful there as well. Alright, Ruby. Go and find me some exquisite honey, would you please?
There is 2 minutes. On board. Stand by.
That water will do nicely. Perfect. You have everything we need. I now know of a location for a source of honey. It seems to be a cave near Iverstead. Let's see. It should be just south of Iverstead, possibly named Honey Strand Cave. Seems the place has quite a powerful smell of honey. It's likely what attracted Ruby to it. The cave is awfully close to Iverstead for being seemingly so rich with honey. I'd wager this honey has something guarding it, deterring the locals from snatching some for themselves. Our best move then is likely to just go in undetected. Here, drink this when we get there if you decide to go in by stealth. Or don't. I'll follow your lead. Ah, an air for details, I see. I'm not exactly keen to reveal that quite yet, but perhaps you'll get to meet them in the future. Before anything else shows up. That went quite well, I'd say. A solid haul of honey. That's all of the ingredients that were listed in the formulas, but we're not done yet. While, yes, I figure I could make a much superior brew than the Blackbriars with this, it's not going to be enough. There is yet another thing I could use your help for, if you feel so obliged. I appreciate that greatly. Of course I do. I am the greatest alchemical mind of this era. I will not sully my record with an inferior swill. I am made of spices, more specifically, East Empire Company spices. I do. In fact, I already have all the spices I would need. However, I plan to steal some from the East Empire Company. Because the prices they charge for these spices are extortionate. And because it's fun. I disagree. The mead will taste much sweeter if it comes at the cost of the East Empire Company. Fine. But you're taking all the fun out of this endeavor. Fantastic. The mead will taste all the sweeter when it comes at the expense of the East Empire Company. The East Empire Company has a sizable presence in Solitude. These particular spices, while expensive, are quite popular. I imagine they'd be somewhere on the docks, just waiting to be retrieved.
You right?
That game is one of our sports.
Are we stopping to eat? I am ravenous. Excellent work. You've been very reliable for this entire venture. No, I have everything I need. It's time for me to get to work. I'll need to experiment a bit with the flavors and proportions, as well as fermentation time. It's going to take a little while, primarily due to fermentation. I can speed the process up a bit, but I'd say it'll take at least a week. I'll let you know when it's time for us to do a taste test. Right. After a lot of experimentation and giving the mead time to ferment, I believe I'm ready to taste the final product with you. Just let me know when you're ready to give the mead a try. Excellent. The choice of locale seems appropriate. I must preface, though, that I haven't just made one kind of mead. I have a total of 3 for us to taste. Why don't we go through them one by one, shall we? This variant contains snowberries as the main complementary ingredient. I'm off a mind to call it South Fringe Mead. Have a taste and let me know what you think. So, what do you think? I am very pleased to hear that. Hopefully you will say the same for the others as well. I am inclined to agree. Not perfect, though. But we can discuss that after we've tried the rest. I'm very much of a mind with you on that. Not perfect, is it? Let's move on to the other 2 variants.
This one's
That is a very honest response. And I don't think you are completely wrong. But we can discuss that after we've tried all the variants. Now that's just you being provocative. We both know it's above average at worst. Here, try this one. This is a variant containing a multitude of exotic spices from all over Tamria. I was thinking of naming it Tavani Reserve Mead. I am rearing to hear what you thought of this one. Seems I am on a winning streak then. But there's still one more for you to try, and this one is my favorite. Well, good to know I'm 2 for 2 so far. Seems you can't account for every palate. Let's see if this final mead is a good fit. I beg to differ. The flavors in this mead are far more complex and complement each other very well. No matter. We still have one final bottle of mead to try. A ridiculous notion. This is one of the finest and most complex set of flavors you will lay your lips on. To dismiss it as terrible is being completely dishonest. But you have one more bottle of mead to try. Here you go. This is the best one of the three, in my opinion. It contains aspects of the other two, but this one has a strong complementary flavor of ginger. The ginger not only eliminates the less appealing flavors, but also improves the ones that work. I'm thinking of calling this one Ginger Kiss Mead. Not the most original name, I know, but let's see what you make of it first. So, I think you will find this one was the best of the bunch. All the wonderful traits of the others, but with just that little bit extra that pushes it to the top. Clutching victory from the spiced mead, then. It's lovely to see your ability to appreciate some well-crafted and brewed mead. Isn't it just so? Truly an unrivaled feat in the realm of mead. But not the best. I disagree, but I suppose it just comes down to preference at this level. That is almost shocking to hear you say. I find this one to not only be superior to the other two, it's in a league of its own. Then it seems you cannot appreciate the complex flavors as well as I can. Then something must be utterly wrong with you. Perhaps something in the mead doesn't play well with your taste buds. It certainly isn't an issue with the mead itself. We both agree that the Ginger Kiss mead was the best out of the bunch. But you also quite like the other two. I think I will keep brewing all three for the foreseeable future. I want to thank you for your help through this whole venture. While I would have been more than capable of handling all of this on my own, you made everything much simpler. Personally, I am very satisfied with the outcome. It's always nice to be able to confirm one's own abilities. Now, let's move on to some less savory business.